No Jim Harbaugh, no Mike McDonald, no Mike Vrabel. I know it would be typical for me to come on here and say, okay, the New England Patriots got it wrong. They rushed this decision. It would be typical for me to say that, but I'm actually here to say I think the New England Patriots got it right. The Patriots hired head coach Jerod Mayo a day after parting ways with legendary head coach Bill Belichick. Shout out Bill Belichick and everything that he's done. I'm not getting into the discussion of Tom or Bill. Both of them are greats. Both of them are all time at what they've did in the game of football. Now, Robert Kraft really paid Jerod Mayo the ultimate payback for what he's done in the past, for what he's brought to this team, for the head coaching or potential head coaching opportunities, which he declined because he wanted to stay with the New England Patriots. When we talk about head coaches, I think a lot gets missed in this discussion. We talk about, oh, this is a guy who has an extensive resume. He's done all of these different things at all of these different stops. But I want to know, can you relate to my players? Do you understand what it takes to be this franchise? The Baltimore Ravens have a trademark of play like a Raven. When you think about the New England Patriots, you think about the Patriot way. Could you understand what the Patriot way is if you're going to be the head coach for this football team? There's a lot that it takes to be qualified to understand what the actual Patriot way is. Jerod Mayo checks that box. A couple of other things I'm looking at. Do you understand what your specific job is a leader of men, is a defensive-minded head coach, which Jerod Mayo is all the things that they're going to ask him to do. Is he qualified to do some of those things? Has he seen somebody, if he hasn't done it just yet, has he seen somebody in Bill Belichick do it at the highest level? Checks that box. Also, a couple of things we're going to talk about with Jerod Mayo. This is a guy who played. He can relate to the players, and he also played his position, the linebacker position, at an extremely high level. All SEC defender before he went into the NFL draft. Top 10 pick, should I add, for what team? The New England Patriots. Also, a couple of things I should add. Defensive Rookie of the Year, Pro Bowl selection, two-time Pro Bowl selection at that, and he was an all-pro linebacker for a year. Could have had a lot of a better career, but got hampered by some injuries. Although he won a Super Bowl with the New England Patriots, he's put in the work and he's done his work. Robert Kraft was not actually forced to make this decision. The only decision which he was forced to make was the one he put himself in a position to make. Let me actually tell you something. Last year, like I said, Jerod Mayo passed up some head coaching interviews to remain with the New England Patriots. And I said Robert Kraft gave him the ultimate payback because he adjusted Jerod Mayo's contract and put in a clause that if anything were to ever happen with Bill Belichick and we need a replacement for this head coach position for the New England Patriots, you will be that guy. Now, also something I want to quickly add within the notes, this allowed them to go on with their hiring process without having to go into all of the interviews, the Rooney Rule, a lot of different things. And I think, just a side note, it kind of shows you a little bit of things when we talk about the Rooney Rule. These owners, they're going to hire who they want to hire. Although the Rooney Rule is set in place, and we can have a different discussion, that can be an entirely different video. But these guys, they know who's next in line. They know when they're in that interview process, he strikes me like a guy. I want to hire him as soon as he walks out of this interview room. They know, although we have the Rooney Rule. But getting back to Jerod Mayo, like I said, played the game at an extremely high level. Was a linebacker coach. His entire professional career has been spent with the New England Patriots, should I add. So I think when we talk about this job and a lot of different things about him understanding the Patriot way, one final quote before I want to get into some other things for the Patriots. Sports commentator Michael Holley on Jerod Mayo. Mayo had been a top 10 pick who didn't act like one. On draft day, when the best of the best are invited to New York, you put on your best suit, you go out there with your chains, your watches, your Rolex, all of those things, often wearing made-for-occasion tailored suits. Mayo had been home in Virginia with his family raking leaves. Top 10 pick, all SEC defender, straight out of Tennessee. He's raking leaves with his family on draft day. Mayo he was a worker there and a worker in Foxborough for the New England Patriots. Yes, he was. In the offseason, he'd come to the stadium and watch film even when there were no coaches to be found. No coaches. You don't have to do this. I'm coming to watch film anyway. He loved the game, and it could be seen by the way he played middle linebacker, never turning down the opportunity to plug a hole or run sideline to sideline. That's a beautiful quote. Now, When I think about those types of things, that strikes me as a guy. And I mean, obviously, this will be his first head coaching opportunity. We don't have to state the obvious, but I think it gets lost sometimes when we look at some of these other coaches who are going to get jobs. Mike Macdonald, he's a hot candidate right now. He's a defensive coordinator. I'm looking at some of these things with some of these big time guys who haven't been head coaches just yet. That doesn't mean you're not qualified for the job, but it's all about timing and it's all about opportunity. Also adding to the fact, some of these coordinators don't actually want to be head coaches for certain spots. It's not saying, I think most coordinators want to be head coaches, but in certain spots, they want to wait for the perfect timing because you're not about to hire me and fire me in the same season. You're not about to do that. So I'm looking at this and I think with the New England Patriots, you have a very interesting team and a very interesting opportunity. Now I'm thinking defensively. I think about Devon Godshaw. I think about Jabril Pepper, some of those guys, Jawan Bentley. You got Dietrich Wise. You still got Matthew Judon, Christian Gonzalez, who probably could have been the defensive rookie of the year if not for the shoulder injury. I'm looking at all of those different types of things, and I think where you start with this team, you got to get the offensive coordinator spot right. You got to get that general manager spot right, because if you do, now you're in a very good position. I'm looking at a football team that has the number 4 overall pick. I'm looking at a football team that has the third most cap space. So with these things in mind, I think if you can get the right free agents, and particularly for the offensive line, that's the thing that you have to fix. You have to get some interior help. You're looking at the tackle positions, but even whatever you want to do, you have the money to go do that. Even if you want to bolster up the defense even more, receiving core. We think about what that is. They're probably going to draft high in that position. But I think when I'm looking at some of those roster candidates, and even when I look at the NFL draft, they're in a prime position to do something that not a lot of teams have the opportunity to do. They can really turn this thing on its head. And you think, okay, if we want to get Jaden Daniels at 3 hypothetically. Also, I said for a little bit earlier, they have the 3rd pick in the NFL draft. If you want to get Jaden Daniels hypothetically, you could do that. Or you could get Marvin Harrison Jr., or you could trade back, still get Jaden Daniels, trade back, maybe get Malik Neighbors, get some more draft capital. I'm not saying one of these is better than the other, but I'm talking about all of the possible scenarios that you have if you wanted to do so. A lot of different possible scenarios, a lot of cap space as we head into the offseason. I think the New England Patriots, if they can get that offensive coordinator position right, if they can get the general manager, get those types of things in line, understanding what the vision of this team is as we move forward, I think they made a good decision. I mean, even when I look at Vrabel, he played for the New England Patriots. He's going to get a job for a very, very, very good team. This is not against Mike Vrabel, but to say because of Vrabel, because of McDonald, because of Harbaugh, anybody you want to go, even the offensive minds, Bobby Slowick, if you wanted to go there, I don't think that takes away from what these guys wanted to do. We can say hindsight is 2020. We didn't know Mike Vrabel was going to be available this season when we adjusted and added the contract clause for Jerod Mayo. That's the one thing we could say. And I mean, hypothetically, I would listen to it. But they understand what they wanted to do. He understands the Patriot way. He understands the personnel. He was the linebackers coach, spent his entire professional career as a Patriot, coaching and playing. He understands the personnel that he has right now. And I think if they do this thing the right way, they have a bright future. Let me know what you think down below in the comments as we get out of here. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. That's going to do it for today's show. And now,